He's certainly one of the top contenders for the Democratic presidential nomination, and many of Bernie Sanders' positions set him apart from the pack. But have they changed in the more than 4 decades Sanders has been involved in politics? CNN's Ryan Noble has been investigating for us. Ryan, Sanders is registered as an independent, but caucuses with the Democrats in the Senate, and he calls himself a Democratic socialist.
Yeah, that's right, Wolf. And our K-File team has exhaustively poured over hundreds of press releases, different types of background from Bernie Sanders' past. And what we discovered is that the Bernie Sanders of the 1970s isn't all that different than the Bernie Sanders of today.
Thank you, Madison.
Bernie Sanders, one of the leading contenders for the Democratic nomination.
There is nothing that we cannot accomplish.
Preaching a message very similar to his 2016 run.
People cannot afford the medicine they need.
They cannot afford the medicine they need.
Start paying their fair share of taxes. Start paying their fair share of taxes.
One that's not all that different from his political posture more than 4 decades ago as an unknown activist in Vermont.
My name is Bernard Sanders. We are going to be looking at poverty in Vermont.
Sanders often fights for low-income Americans, but he recently drew some criticism after his tax returns revealed his own income topped $1 million in 2016 and 2017, largely due to 2 best-selling books after his last presidential campaign.
So if anyone thinks that I should apologize for writing a best-selling book, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it.
But according to a CNN K-File investigation, in his early years, Bernie Sanders felt differently. Nobody should earn more than $1 million, Sanders said in a 1974 article. That's the equivalent of a little more than $5 million today. And anything above $1 million, he believed, should be 100% taxed. He said it should be illegal to amass more wealth than a human family could use in a lifetime, and that members of the Senate should earn the median income of their constituents. That philosophy on wealth disparity became the bedrock of Sanders' platform, railing against the ties linking economic and political power.
The economic misery, totally unnecessary in my view, that is grinding down the lives of tens of thousands of Vermonters.
Sanders' foray into politics was somewhat by accident. A pacifist, he avoided the Vietnam draft by applying for conscientious objector status. By the time his application was denied, he was too old to be drafted. He was working as a carpenter in Vermont when he attended a meeting of a small left-wing group called the Liberty Union Party. He emerged as their candidate for U.S. Senate.
We're in this meeting, and we've done all our business, and here we don't have anybody for the U.S. Senate slot. I turn over and I see this bushy-haired guy in his rumpled clothes, and I'm saying, hey, you want to run for this seat? We need some fresh meat to sacrifice on the altar of the ballot.
I don't think he had any illusions about winning, and I think he certainly surprised me, and I think he perhaps surprised himself by volunteering to run for the Senate. And that was the beginning of his electoral career.
That campaign included some of Sanders' most extreme ideas, including legalizing all drugs, including heroin, and even legalizing hitchhiking, which he often did to get from event to event. Doris Lake campaigned with Sanders in 1972 as the Liberty Union's congressional candidate.
Bernie was the one who told me, well, this is what candidates do. They go in and they shake hands and say to the workers, vote for me and I'll take care of you.
Sanders lost that election, earning just 2% of the vote, but he continued to sharpen his rhetoric against big corporations and the wealthy. In 1976, he ran for governor of Vermont.
I think it's clear to anyone who follows the debate that both of these people are concerned about the interests of the 2 or 3% of the population who owns the state of Vermont and not the other 97% of the people who work for a living.
Bernie has not, for better or worse, has not deviated.
And the billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars.
Hundreds of billions of dollars. The joke is now we turn on the telly, he starts, and we finish the speech.
He lost that race and every other he entered in the 1970s. Sanders was socially progressive. The Liberty Union's 1971 platform called for abolishing all laws related to abortion, birth control, and homosexual relationships. A 1972 Liberty Union magazine edited by Sanders suggested lowering the voting age to 14, ending requirements to go to school, and punishing businesses who left the state without compensating workers.
The concept of democracy is not wrong for this country or for the state.
His first major victory finally came in 1981 when he was elected mayor of Burlington by just 10 votes. The policies he's held on to since then, like universal health care, free public college, and raising taxes on the wealthy, are largely what appeal to his supporters today.
I have run for office in the state of Vermont on many occasions. Sometimes I've lost, more often I've won. What all of that showed is that those ideas were not radical ideas. They were common sense American ideas that the American people supported.
And while much of what Sanders advocated for early on in his career remains the same today, there are some of the more radical positions that he has changed on. A campaign spokesperson confirming for us tonight that Sanders now believes that compulsory education is a good idea. He no longer believes that we should lower the voting age to 14. He no longer supports nationalizing many private industries, and he no longer supports legalizing all drugs, including heroin. Wolf?
Good report. Ryan Nobles, thanks so much.